My stepfather and his children always hated me, but after he discovered that I had inherited my late father's property, he tried to kick me out of the house. All right, buckle up, because this is going to be a long one. About 3 years ago, things at home started to get a bit weird when my mom, out of nowhere, tells me she's dating someone new. His name's Derek, and from the first time I met the guy, I could tell something was off. He had this vibe like he was always sizing me up, trying to figure out if I was friend or foe. I was just 13 at the time, so it felt really strange having some guy I don't know trying to insert himself into our lives. Let me paint you a picture. My mom and dad hadn't been in love for who knows how long. They decided to split when I was just a little kid but never officially divorced. They thought it'd be better for me if they both stayed under the same roof, at least until I was older. So, they were like roommates who just happened to share a kid. To the outside world, it looked like we were just one big happy family. But inside, it was anything but. Every once in a while, my dad or mom would try dating other people, but it never went well. I remember doing everything I could to sabotage their dates because, deep down, I just wanted them to get back together. Yeah, I know, pretty childish, right? But I was a kid who wanted his parents to be like everyone else's. Whenever someone new came into the picture, I'd be the first to throw a fit, hoping it would scare them off. Enter Derek. The guy was different. He had a daughter who was 15 and a son who was 18, and right from the start, none of us got along. They looked at me like I was the enemy invading their territory. It didn't help that Derek always took their side over anything, which just added to the tension. My mom thought Derek was the greatest thing since sliced bread, always going on about how understanding and great he was. But to me, he was just this dude who was trying too hard to be something he wasn't. I gotta be honest, my efforts to get rid of him were on a whole new level. I'd be extra annoying, extra loud, and extra everything just to make him think twice about sticking around. But Derek, man, he was tough as nails. He didn't budge. It's like all my tricks that used to work were suddenly useless. He just kept coming back, and my mom was eating it up. Things got real when Derek started talking about moving in with us. My mom was all for it, thinking it was the next logical step. But my dad? He wasn't having any of it. They had made a promise, way back when they decided to split but not divorce, that they would keep living together under the same roof until I was at least 18 for my sake. My dad held my mom to that promise, which really ticked Derek off. You could tell he wanted to just swoop in and play house with my mom, but my dad was the wall he kept crashing into. The tension at home was palpable. Every dinner was like sitting on a powder keg, waiting for someone to light the fuse. Derek and his kids would be on one side, my mom on another, and me and my dad just trying to not get caught in the crossfire. It was messed up. Despite all the drama, Derek did manage to move in eventually. It was after my dad got really sick. He had been in and out of the hospital, and things weren't looking great. My mom was torn up about it, and somehow, Derek moving in was supposed to make everything better. I didn't see the logic in it. How was adding more people to the mix going to help anything? Then the bomb dropped. My dad passed away from a heart attack. It was sudden, and it knocked the wind out of all of us. I thought maybe, just maybe, it would put things into perspective and make everyone realize that life's too short for all this petty drama. But I was wrong. Not even a month after my dad died, my mom announced she and Derek were getting married. They planned to have a small ceremony with just a few friends and family. To me, it felt rushed. It felt disrespectful. Like, how could she move on so fast? How could she think that bringing Derek even closer into our lives would help me deal with my dad's death? I was a mess, man. I felt like I was losing not just my dad, but my whole family. Derek and his kids didn't make it any easier. They walked around like they owned the place, barely acknowledging that my world had just been turned upside down. I kept my distance, spending more time alone in my room or out with friends, anywhere but home. The real kicker came when we got the call from my dad's lawyer. Turns out my dad had left me pretty much everything: his money, his properties, and a bunch of other stuff I didn't even know about. He had inherited a fortune from some relative years back and never told anyone. Suddenly, I wasn't just the annoying kid in the house. I was the annoying rich kid. Derek's attitude shifted overnight. Any pretense of being the cool, understanding stepdad vanished. Now, I was a threat, a roadblock to whatever plans he had for his new life with my mom. And let me tell you, it felt like war was about to break out at home. So here we are, living in this awkward setup where every day feels like a silent battle. Derek and his kids are officially part of the household, and it's like walking on eggshells all the time. After the will thing came out, Derek's been acting all sweet in front of my mom, but I can tell it's just an act. Behind that smile, there's a guy who's not happy about me being the main heir. Now let's talk about the daily life in this weird blended family. Breakfast is the worst. Imagine sitting at the table, trying to eat while Derek and his kids chat like I'm not even there. They talk about stuff like plans for the house, joking around, and it's like they're the original family and I'm the outsider. My mom tries to get me involved, but it's so forced that it just makes things more uncomfortable. One morning, things got pretty tense. Derek started talking about how we should redo the living room, talking about it like he owned the place. I couldn't help myself. I had to say something. I was like, "Don't you think we should all discuss changes in the house together?" Derek just gave me this look, like I had no business suggesting such a thing. My mom was quick to smooth things over, but it was obvious she was trying to keep the peace without taking sides. As if the mornings weren't rough enough. Let's not forget about coming home after school. I walk in, and most days, Derek's there, in what used to be my dad's chair, acting like he's the man of the house. He's usually talking business on the phone or with his kids about their day. I just head straight to my room. The less I interact, the better. But even from upstairs, I can hear them laughing and talking. It's like they're erasing every trace of my dad, one laugh at a time. Then there's the deal with chores. Derek's got this idea that everyone should pitch in equally, which sounds fair on paper, right? But the way he enforces it, you'd think we were in boot camp. He's got chores scheduled on a fridge calendar, and he checks off everything like some kind of drill sergeant. If I miss even one thing because of homework or just needing a break, he's on my case, claiming I'm not pulling my weight. It feels like he's just looking for ways to criticize me, to prove I don't fit in. And let's not forget the weekends. They're supposed to be a break from the crap of the week, right? Well, not in this house. Derek plans all these family outings, which are more about him showing off to my mom that he can blend our families together. We go to parks or some local events, stuff I used to enjoy. But now, it's all about Derek making a point, showing that he's the new head honcho, and we should all fall in line. One Saturday, this whole blending thing hit a new level of ridiculous. Derek decided we should all volunteer at some community cleanup event. Sounds noble, doesn't it? But the whole day, it was Derek this, Derek that. He was lapping up the praise from other volunteers, acting like Mr. Community Leader, while I was stuck picking up trash, feeling more like an outsider than ever. My mom was there, beaming at Derek, while I just wanted to disappear. But the real kicker is how things are when there's a disagreement. One time his daughter, who's always been a bit of a princess, decided she didn't like where I parked my bike because it was in her space, in the garage. It escalated to her yelling and Derek stepping in, not to calm things down, but to tell me I should be more considerate. Like it was my fault she was flipping out over a bike. This living situation's made my home feel like a place I just sleep and eat in. I spend more time out of the house, at friends' places, or just out walking around than I do at home. I miss how it used to be with my dad. We weren't perfect, but I never felt like I was an intruder in my own home. My mom sees some of this, I think. Every now and then she tries to talk to me about how things are going, asking if I'm okay. I just nod and say it's all good, because what can I really say? That her new husband makes me wish I lived anywhere else. That every day feels like a reminder that my dad's gone and Derek's taken over? No way. That would just start a fight, and honestly, I'm just too tired to fight anymore. It's a mess, really. Living with Derek and his kids feels like I'm in some kind of slow-motion nightmare where everything I used to love about home is being twisted into something I don't recognize. And the worst part? I've got to smile and bear it, because this is still my mom's house too, and I don't want to make her life harder than it already is. So yeah, that's my life now. Stuck in a house with a stepdad who might smile in front of my mom, but definitely doesn't want me around. Just counting the days until I can get out of here, or until something changes. So, life in the step-family circus went from bad to worse. It's like every week there's a new drama that just makes me want to pack up and disappear. But I guess I should start with the big blowout that happened not too long ago, because it really shows what's been brewing under the surface. It all kicked off over something stupid, like it always does, right? Derek's son, let's call him Mark, decided that my gaming console was community property, since it was in the living room. Never mind that I saved up for months to buy it myself. He and his sister started using it whenever they wanted, not even asking me first. I let it slide for a bit because I didn't want to start another fight. But then, I found my controllers all messed up, buttons sticky and stuff. I confronted Mark about it, keeping my cool, just asking him to respect my stuff. Well, he didn't take it too well. Started telling me how I was being selfish, how I should be more generous since we're supposed to be a family. That's when Derek jumped in, backing up his son, of course. He told me that in this house, we share everything and that I needed to stop being so possessive. The argument got heated, and my mom finally stepped in. But instead of backing me up, she sided with Derek, saying I should try to be more understanding. Man, that hurt. It's like suddenly it wasn't our home anymore. It was Derek's rules, Derek's way. This whole mess made me start thinking a lot about how things have been changing around here. Like, Derek's been slowly taking over every part of our lives. He's rearranged the living room, replaced some of my dad's old furniture with his stuff, and it's like he's trying to erase the memory of my dad completely. My room is the only place that still feels like mine, and now even that feels threatened. One night, things got real weird. I was up late, just thinking about all this stuff, and I decided to take a walk around the house. It was quiet. Everyone else was asleep, and I just needed to clear my head. As I'm walking through the living room, I noticed Derek's laptop open on the table. I know I shouldn't have, but curiosity got the better of me. I took a peek. There were emails open about property listings, big expensive places that were way beyond what we could afford. At least that's what I thought. Turns out Derek's been doing pretty well for himself, or at least that's what he wants everyone to think. The emails were to a real estate agent, talking about selling our house and buying a new one, something about needing a fresh start for our new family. I felt sick to my stomach. This was all news to me. No one had said anything about selling the house. This was the house my dad had loved, the house I grew up in. And Derek was planning to sell it like it was just another item to tick off his list. The next day, I brought it up at breakfast. I asked Derek straight up about the emails. You should have seen the look on his face. It was like he'd been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He stumbled over his words, tried to play it off like it was just options he was looking at, nothing serious. But the cat was out of the bag now. My mom was shocked. She hadn't known about any of this either. There was this huge argument, voices raised, Derek trying to justify himself, my mom trying to understand why he'd go behind her back. I just sat there, watching this all go down, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. It was clear Derek had plans that didn't include us, or at least not me. That fight seemed to open my mom's eyes a bit. She's been a bit more cautious around Derek since then, asking him more questions, keeping a closer eye on what he does. I don't know if it'll change anything in the long run, but at least she's starting to see that Derek might not be the perfect guy she thought he was. Since then, the atmosphere at home has been tense. Derek knows I don't trust him, and I know he's not happy about me snooping around. It's like an unspoken war now. We avoid each other as much as possible, and when we do have to interact, it's short and to the point. No more fake smiles, no more pretending we're some happy family. I've started to spend even more time out of the house, staying over at friends' places whenever I can. I just can't stand being around Derek, knowing he's planning to uproot everything just for his own benefit, and my relationship with my mom, it's complicated. I'm glad she's starting to see through Derek, but there's a lot of damage there, a lot of trust that's been broken. So that's where I'm at now. Stuck in a home that feels less and less like mine, trying to hold on to the few memories I have left of my dad, and hoping that somehow things will get better. But deep down, I know I need to start making plans, start figuring out a way to get out and get on with my life. Because this isn't living. This is just surviving day by day in a house that's filled with tension and secrets. All right, so after the whole blow up about the house selling thing, you'd think Derek might lay low, but nah, that's not his style. Instead, things just ramped up more. It's like he's got something to prove, and I'm the punching bag he's picked to take it out on. Here's the lowdown on how everything spiraled even further. A couple of weeks after the email incident, Derek starts pushing for these family bonding activities. He's all about showing my mom he's this great unifier, right? So he sets up this big dinner, everyone's invited, even some of his extended family. It's supposed to be this big happy gathering, but the vibes are all off. His family's all right, I guess, but there's this undercurrent, like everyone's trying too hard to show how great everything is. During dinner, Derek keeps putting me on the spot, asking me about school and my plans for the future, stuff he never cared about before. It feels like he's setting me up, waiting for me to slip up so he can point out how I'm not living up to expectations or something. I play it cool, give him the answers he's looking for, but it's tense, man, really tense. After the guests leave, my mom pulls me aside. She's been noticing things, finally seeing how Derek's been treating me. We have this heart-to-heart, and I lay it all out for her, how I feel like Derek's trying to push me out, how it's been ever since he moved in. She listens, really listens, and I can see it's hitting her hard. She promises things are going to change, that she's going to talk to Derek, set some boundaries. I'm not holding my breath, but it's nice to see her stepping up. But here's the kicker. Things with Derek go from bad to downright ugly. The next day, he corners me when I'm coming out of my room. He's all calm and collected, too calm. He tells me he knows I've been talking to my mom, stirring up trouble. He warns me to back off, says it's for my own good. The veiled threats, the cold look in his eyes. I've never seen him like this before. I'm rattled, not gonna lie. I keep my cool, tell him I don't know what he's talking about, but inside, I'm freaking out. This guy's not just a jerk, he's manipulative, dangerous even. I avoid him after that, keep to my room, try to stay under the radar. A few days later, things come to a head. I'm home alone, just chilling, when Derek comes back early from work. He doesn't see me at first. I hear him on the phone, talking loud and angry. He's arguing with someone about money, about needing more time. He sounds desperate, nothing like the composed guy he plays in front of my mom. I stay out of sight, but I listen, trying to piece together what's going on. It sounds like he's in deep, owes money or something, and it's coming due. He ends the call, slams something down, and I realize this guy's got problems, serious problems, and he's brought them right into our home. That evening, I tell my mom what I heard. I can see the worry on her face, the realization that Derek's not who she thought he was. She's scared, I can tell, but she's also angry that he's brought this danger to our doorstep. She decides then and there that she's going to confront him, ask him straight up what's going on. The confrontation is intense. I hear them in the kitchen, voices raised. Derek's defensive, trying to brush it all off as a misunderstanding, but my mom's not buying it. She's got this strength I haven't seen in her in a long time. She tells him she won't tolerate lies, won't let him endanger us with whatever mess he's in. Derek tries to smooth talk his way out of it, but she's firm, tells him he needs to sort himself out, or he's out. The next few days are awkward as hell. Derek's on thin ice and he knows it. My mom's watching him like a hawk, and I'm just trying to stay out of the way, keep my head down. But there's this tension in the air, like a storm waiting to break. It's quiet, too quiet. Then one evening it all comes crashing down. Derek's gone for most of the day, comes back late, looking a mess. My mom confronts him again, this time about where he's been, about the lies and the secrecy. It gets heated, and then all of a sudden, Derek snaps. He starts yelling, saying he's had enough, that he's not going to be treated like a criminal in his own home. It's chaos. I step in, try to calm things down, but it's no use. Derek's lost it, saying he's leaving, that we'll regret ever doubting him. He packs some stuff, throws it in his car, and just like that, he's gone. The aftermath is surreal. My mom's in shock, trying to process everything. I'm just relieved he's gone, but there's this guilt too. Like maybe we pushed him too far. But deep down, I know it's better this way. Better than living with the constant tension, the threats, the lies. So now it's just me and my mom, trying to pick up the pieces, trying to rebuild something out of the wreckage Derek left behind. It's not going to be easy, but for the first time in a long time, it feels like we can breathe again, like we can make this house a home again. Thanks for sticking with me through this. It's been one hell of a ride, but I hope, the worst is behind us. So last week, Derek came back and he convinced my mom that all his problems are gone and he just needed some time to clear his mind, and my mom took him in. Of course I was mad, but I couldn't say anything. Yesterday, Derek and I finally had it out. My mom was working late and my step-siblings were out with their friends, so it was just me and Derek at home. I didn't want to be alone with him, so I made plans with some friends and was getting ready to leave when Derek started yelling about how he wasn't my maid and wasn't going to do my dishes. I tried to keep it cool and told him I'd take care of them when I got back, but he insisted that it was my responsibility and I needed to do it now. In our house, everyone does their own dishes, and I really was planning to do them as soon as I got back, but he kept shouting and I lost my temper. We ended up screaming at each other and I cursed at him. Then out of nowhere, he accused me of sticking around just to get my mom to leave me all the stuff my dad had left behind. I was shocked. I didn't see that coming at all. He went on about how my mom had finally realized that I was just playing nice because I wanted her to leave everything to me instead of Derek and his kids. He claimed that even though I wasn't happy about my mom being with him, I was being polite to him because I wanted her to leave all that stuff to me. That's when I figured out that my mom must have lied to him, telling him that my dad had left her everything when in reality it was all mine. That explained why Derek had been acting so spiteful toward me. I guess my mom didn't want him to know that my dad hadn't left her much, just a bit of cash. When he accused me of this, I just laughed and told him the truth, and he turned pale. At first, he didn't believe me, but when I stopped laughing, he realized I was serious. I left the house after that, and he didn't say anything more. It was so stressful that I decided not to go home at all. I stayed at a friend's place, and just like I expected, my mom called me at midnight. She was furious, yelling at me for telling Derek the truth about the inheritance. I was really angry. I told her she had no reason to lie to him because she knew all the property was legally mine and that she was left with nothing. I said she was letting Derek treat me like crap because she was jealous that my dad left me everything. She tried to explain that she had been planning to talk to me later because her business had been struggling for the last few years, and my dad knew that, but he never offered to help. She also mentioned that my dad didn't like Derek, and she wanted to be with a man he didn't approve of. She claimed she hadn't noticed how Derek had been treating me because she was too distracted. But I didn't buy it. I told her I might have considered sharing the property with her if she'd been honest with me earlier, but now I thought my dad was right to leave everything to me. I didn't believe she didn't see how Derek was treating me, especially since I had been telling her for years that he was awful to me. I told her I thought the reason she hadn't said anything to Derek about his behavior was that she was afraid of losing him if she told him the truth. I figured she still cared about me, but only because it wouldn't look good socially if she kicked me out. Now, after finding out about the inheritance, she needed me around for the money. She told me to come home immediately, but I said I wasn't going back. I had already decided to leave as soon as I could. I didn't know where I'd go, but anywhere was better than living with my mom. I hung up on her and blocked her. But this morning, I woke up to a text from her, apologizing and saying she loves me and wants to keep me in her life. She asked me to come home so we could talk things over, saying that we both said a lot of hurtful things last night that we didn't mean. But I'm not so sure I didn't mean what I said, and now I feel like a terrible person for even thinking it. But honestly, I think the only reason my mom wants me to come back is that she needs the money. Would I be the a-hole if I decided not to talk to my mom? Update 1. Hey everyone, before I get into anything else, there are a few things I need to clear up. Some of you asked why I didn't just move in with other family members if I didn't want Derek living with us. The truth is, I wanted to support my mom. After losing my dad, I didn't want to lose her too. Besides the stuff with Derek, my mom and I didn't have a bad relationship. She didn't know what was going on, and things have only gotten this bad recently. Plus, my life is here, and my other relatives live far away. My grandma's sisters aren't even in the country, so moving out wasn't really an option even if I wanted to. Some of you were also curious about my parents' living situation. To clarify, my parents lived together, but they weren't a couple. They were just co-parenting me. I guess it was weird for most people, which is why their relationships didn't last long, at least until Derek came into the picture. Like a lot of you, people my parents dated didn't really understand the setup, since my parents were still living with each other and raising a child together. Eventually, my dad stopped dating, and my mom ended up with Derek. My dad would just stay in his room, and my mom had hers on the other side of the house, so it wasn't really a problem when Derek came over. I don't know if my dad still had feelings for my mom after they broke up. If he did, he hid it well because to me, they were just friends until I was about 13 and realized they'd never get back together. Maybe he did still have feelings, maybe not. I honestly don't know, and it doesn't matter now. I talked to my dad's lawyer about the fallout with my mom. I also spoke to my grandparents on both sides, and they agreed that my mom's behavior towards me was out of line and that she should be ashamed. When they asked if I still wanted to stay with her, I said no. I'm staying with a friend for now while my grandparents fly in to help sort things out. My mom's been trying to see me every day this past week, but I haven't agreed to it. Honestly, I'm just too confused right now and don't know what her true intentions are anymore. She's been messaging me on social media from different accounts, but I'm pretty sure she's still with Derek and that they're both living in our house. I'm not going to believe anything she says until Derek is gone. Call me stubborn or whatever, but I just don't care anymore. I have to look out for myself now. I'm going to stay put until my grandparents get here so we can figure this all out together. They're out of state, and since I still need to go to school and don't want to move, I can't leave right now. I'm thinking about suggesting living on my own, but I don't know if they'll be okay with that. I have no idea what's going to happen, so I'm just hoping for the best. Update 2. Hey everyone. My grandparents flew in yesterday and took me to see the hotel where they're staying while we figure things out. My mom was there too since she's still technically responsible for me. I'm still too young for them to seriously consider my idea of living alone, so that got shut down pretty quickly. My mom kept trying to get me to come back home with her, but I made it clear that I wasn't interested in working things out as long as Derek was still around. I told her the only way she could prove she had no hidden agenda was by kicking Derek and his kids out. If she couldn't do that, then we had nothing to talk about. She tried to argue, but she didn't want my grandparents stepping in, so she backed off. They suggested I move in with them, but neither my mom nor I were ready to give up custody just yet. No one really knew what to do. I kept telling my grandparents that I'd go back home with my mom if Derek wasn't there. They asked if I'd be willing to work things out with my mom over time, and then checked with her to see if she thought that was a fair solution. She said she'd figure out a way to make it work. Honestly, I'm surprised she agreed to it too, but I still don't know what's going to happen in the long run. For now, I'm staying at the hotel with my grandparents while my mom went home to talk to Derek. I really hope things go well, but I have no idea what to expect. My mom asked us to give her a few days to sort things out, so that's what we're doing. She doesn't know what's going to happen either. All I can do now is hope for the best. I really want to keep my family together. Update 3. Hey everyone, I went back home yesterday, and it's been a week since my last update. So my mom and Derek are getting divorced. She told us that when she went home that day, she tried to explain to Derek that she couldn't come back while he was still there. It made sense because I didn't want to be mistreated by him like before. She asked him to leave for a few weeks so we could try to work things out, but they had already been having problems. Derek was furious when I told him the truth about the property, and he felt betrayed, thinking he couldn't trust her anymore. Things were already tense, so when she suggested a break, he lost it and decided to file for divorce. Luckily, they hadn't been married long, and their finances were mostly separate, so he doesn't have much claim to anything. My mom apologized for everything. She admitted she had been a terrible person for letting Derek treat me the way he did, and she realized she had overreacted when she found out about my dad's will. She promised to be a better mom, and I'm going to hold her to that. If she doesn't follow through, I'm serious about leaving for good and applying for emancipation. I think I'm making the right choice by giving her another chance, even though I know some people might disagree. But it's my life, and if I'm wrong, that's my mistake to make. I'm going with my gut because I don't want to look back and regret not trying. Plus, she seems genuinely sorry, and I don't think she'll get back together with Derek now that she's seen his true colors. She doesn't even seem worried about the divorce. Her main concern is making sure I'm okay. We'll see how things go, but for now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Update 4. Hey everyone, it's been a while, 3 years to be exact. I wanted to give you all the update you've been waiting for about my mom. Turns out, she wasn't doing it for the land. She genuinely regretted her actions, and I know this because, despite some bumps along the way, she managed to turn her business around. In fact, she's now paying for my college education. I told her she didn't have to, but she said it was the least she could do after everything that happened since the divorce. She hasn't spoken to Derek or even mentioned him. She handled the divorce on her own terms, so she didn't need to. He just got a small settlement. My mom and I have been working hard to repair our relationship, and so far, it's going really well. Our mother-daughter bond is stronger than ever, and we try to do something fun whenever we visit family. I'm really happy with how things have turned out. It could have easily gone the other way, but I'm glad my mom took responsibility and made positive changes when given another chance. I don't regret giving her that opportunity at all. Older kids who disowned me over a decade ago. Wants to reconnect, but I moved on already. I married young, fresh out of high school, swept up by what felt like true love. We were young, impulsive, and ready to take on the world together. By the time I was 25, we had 3 kids, Jason, Emily, and little Sarah. We built a life that on the surface looked picture perfect, but underneath, the cracks were starting to show, exacerbated by hidden resentments and my then wife's growing distance. When our oldest Jason was 10, my wife started having an affair. The unraveling of our marriage was swift and brutal, culminating in a separation that left deep scars, especially since we decided to keep the real reason hidden from the kids. They didn't know why we divorced, only that soon after, their mother and I lived separate lives. This secrecy bred resentment, and as the years passed, it seemed they blamed me exclusively. The relationship with my kids deteriorated as they grew older. Each birthday, each holiday, felt more strained than the last. I watched helplessly as the distance grew, feeling more like a wallet than a father. Whenever I reached out, tried to explain or show affection, it was met with cold indifference or outright hostility, often encouraged by their mother's subtle insinuations about my character and intentions. Then came the lowest point of my life, an overdose attempt that landed me in the hospital. It was a wake-up call, a realization of how far I had fallen. My boss, a steadfast friend, offered me a lifeline, a job across the country. Desperate for a change, I took it. It was a chance to escape, to build something new without the shadows of my past constantly hovering over me. In this new city, life slowly began to piece itself back together. I met Anna, a woman with a gentle strength that seemed to see right through the facade I had built around my old wounds. She was patient, loving, and most importantly, she offered a new perspective on life, one rooted in understanding and recovery. With her help, I battled out of the severe depression that had gripped me for years. 10 years passed in this new life, and I was happy, genuinely happy. Anna and I had 2 wonderful children, and I had all but severed ties with my past. including telling my mother to stop updating me about my estranged children. However, the facade of this newly found peace was shattered when I received an unexpected invitation to my middle daughter Emily's wedding. The invite, surprisingly forwarded by my mother despite my requests, sent me spiraling. I didn't attend, couldn't face that part of my past. The decision was painful, laden with what-ifs and could-have-beens. It was a stark reminder of the bridges I had burned and the emotional toll of my decisions. The years continued to roll by, each one distancing me further from my previous life, until one unsuspecting evening, my phone rang. A familiar area code flashed across the screen. Without thinking, I answered, only to hear a voice softly say, "Dad?" Panic seized me and I blurted out, "Sorry, you must have the wrong number," before hastily hanging up. They tried to call back several times, but I blocked the number, convinced it was Emily, or perhaps Sarah, trying to reach out. The fear of reopening old wounds, of confronting the past I had worked so hard to move beyond, was overwhelming. I found myself shaken, the old anxieties and fears creeping back in. Now, as I recount this tale, I wrestle with mixed emotions. Am I justified in wanting to keep these doors closed, to protect the life I've rebuilt? Or am I simply running from my responsibilities, my past? The thought of facing my children now, after all these years, brings a turmoil that I thought I had long overcome. Am I an a-hole for turning away from them, or is this just a necessary measure to maintain my sanity? This narrative isn't just about the mistakes of the past or the attempts at redemption. It's about the ongoing struggle between duty and self-preservation, the constant balancing act of dealing with consequences that time does not heal. Now, for two top comments before reading the update. I mean, it sounds that tracks just feed a lot of lies to them, so they thought that it was because you had an affair. But I guess they now know the truth, thus trying to reach out to you, not the a-hole. And if I were you, I would try to talk to them and see what they wanted, so don't be afraid, call them. Talk to them and tell them the truth. This is the way to move on. Email. Then everything is in writing. You can take your time to digest and respond. Not the a-hole. If and only if Opie wants to hear why they called, email is the best. If they want to apologize for how they treated him, they shouldn't expect his answer. Email is the best if talking to them will bring strong flashbacks. Email is the best, but he absolutely doesn't have to talk to them when they were degrading him when Opie did. All of them were adults, and any adults know that there are two sides of every story. They were victims of excessive whites, but they became boys and abusers themselves. Driving someone to self-harm takes a lot of effort. He owes nothing to them. He owes the be irresponsible parents and partner to his minor kids and his wife, and if letting them back into his life could cause some mental crises again, it is just irresponsible to let it happen. If one or more of your kids wanted to apologize to you and establish a relationship, would you be open to it? Is there room for healing? If so, is there anyone who could be the go-between on your behalf and see what they wanted? Parental alienation is a form of brainwashing, so their behavior, which you never deserved, would have stemmed from that. Your children also don't deserve this brainwashing. I fully understand why you would not want to open that door again. If one or more of your kids is seeing things more clearly now, the potential for healing could be huge. The choice is yours, and you are not the a-hole, regardless of which choice you make. This is a great perspective. My mother-in-law brainwashed my husband and his sister against their father. They haven't talked to that man in 40 years. He wasn't a father of the year, but he wasn't a monster either. This happened to me with my older son. I miss him. But to him, I'm a monster. Your children are also old enough now to know the truth. Your ex-wife has done the maximum amount of damage that can possibly be done. What are you achieving by protecting her? Tell them and get it off your chest. Then move on. They can decide if they want to believe you or not, and whether or not they want to be in your life. Keep in mind the same manipulative cow that did this to you is the person raising your children. They probably have a better idea of who she is and what she is capable of. Then you might realize by the time my youngest was 17, all of his kids, 4 adults or thereabouts, after years of abuse and hatred, he is happy. Leave him in peace. Now for the update. Update 1. First up, I got a call that really threw me for a loop. It was from my uncle, telling me it was my oldest daughter trying to get back in touch. That was a lot to process, especially with everything else that's been going on. As you can imagine, reading through all your comments and advice has been overwhelming but also super helpful. I appreciate everyone weighing in with their perspectives. I've taken a significant step for my own mental health. I reached out to my therapist, who thankfully had an opening this Monday. I've already called my boss to take the day off because I really need to focus on this. The plan is to jot down everything I can think of that's been troubling me, and then discuss it all with my therapist. My wife will be there too, to help sort through it all. We're thinking of tackling this via email for now because waiting around for calls just adds to the stress. One of my biggest worries in all this is my kids. I really don't want them to start forming a relationship with someone who might just disappoint them or, worse, hurt them in some way. It's something I need to talk through with my therapist. I want to make sure I handle this delicately and correctly, not just for my sake, but for theirs too. Honestly, that's about it for updates at the moment. I've gained so many different perspectives from all of you, and while it's been incredibly helpful, it's also a bit much to take in all at once. I think this is going to be a slow and careful process. I'm still not even sure why she's trying to get in touch now, after all this time. I did make a temporary decision to edit and block that number, just long enough to tell her I'd send an email address where she can reach me later. Even doing that was tough. My wife actually had to type out the message for me. I noticed some of you were worried I might be using drugs or something, but just to clear up any misunderstandings, the only time I ever took anything was that one desperate moment years ago, trying to cope with everything. And I haven't moved on from our last communication until now, when my youngest is 19 and my oldest is 24, 2 years since we last spoke. I hope that clears up any confusion or concerns you might have had. Thanks again for all the support and advice. I'll keep you updated, but like I said, this is going to be a slow process. I need to take things one step at a time, carefully and thoughtfully, to ensure the best outcome for everyone involved, especially my kids. Now for 2 top comments before reading the update. Comment 1. If one or more of your kids wanted to apologize to you and establish a relationship, would you be open to it? Is there room for healing? If so, is there anyone who could be the go-between on your behalf and see what they wanted? Parental alienation is a form of brainwashing, so their behavior, which you never deserved, could have stemmed from that. Your children also didn't deserve this brainwashing. I fully understand why you would not want to open that door again. If one or more of your kids is seeing things more clearly now, the potential for healing could be huge. The choice is yours, and you are NTA regardless of which choice you make. Comment 2. This is a great perspective. My mill brainwashed my husband and his sister against their father. They haven't talked to that man in 40 years. He wasn't Father of the Year, but he wasn't a monster either. Comment 3. Well, got my son's mother pregnant just out of high school at 18. Her 20, tons of cheating. Her, almost went to jail twice for her embezzling from where she worked. Put the money in my bank account. I tried to change who and how I was, not a very good person, but knew I needed to be better for a lot of reasons. Tons of other things to mention, but I digress. His mom would call and say he wanted to see me, so I would drop everything and spend time with him. Things were very standoffish from him, because of course he wasn't around me all the time and only knew of me from what his mom had told him. He would ask questions and I would answer them if I could. Some were about things his mom said. If it wasn't true, I would just say, I remember things differently and leave it at that. Back to mom, when things ended with us, I had found out she had a threesome and I went to her house late at night. Did something I shouldn't have. Not hands people. But I told her, when he turned 18, I was going to tell him everything that went on and he would know the truth. As he got older, he would call, we'd talk and stuff, then he was able to drive. So we'd spend time together talking about the past. Him getting to know more about me, and me know more about him. At that time, my wife and I had just had our daughter, N, had even talked about him moving in with us. His suggestion. Moving ahead, he went to college, dropped out. His mom called me multiple times to call N talk sense into him, ironically, but to no avail. He then goes into the Navy, we stay in touch, he's on leave at base and collapses. Apparently his pre-workout drink messed his heart up. He had to take leave for 6 months to recover. Same as college. Didn't do shit to stay in shape for PT test to get cleared and was kicked out. I moved during this time as he was stationed on the East Coast. I would ask to spend time with him and he didn't want me to come there. Okay. He kept going back home, FL, about once a month to see his mom. I'd gotten to the point and asked him to come and see us, 5 HR ride from where he was, versus FL. Said maybe, okay, let it ride. Then before Christmas as we were talking, I had picked up on things he was saying, and asked him later when he was getting married, and he laughed it off, and said they weren't that far in the relationship for that. I had said a number of times before that when he got married that I couldn't see it in person, but it was what it was. A week later, my wife shows me the FB post of him getting married. That's when I cut him off. Period. I had opened myself and my family to him, and he lied about it. It wasn't a small lie, and I had always told him not to lie to me, as I would be the last one to ever judge him or anybody. He lied. He tried calling 2, 3 more times, but I never answered him or text back when he texted. I will never speak to him again. Not a chance. Ever. Many more things happened along the way. Too much to put in here. But I fought to be a part of his life as much as I was allowed. That was the end of all of it. 8 years ago. Update 2. Starting off after sending that cautious email to my daughter about possibly reconnecting, she replied quicker than I thought she would. In her email, she dropped a huge piece of news. She's expecting a child. Yeah, I'm going to be a grandfather. That part of the news had a strange effect on me. It was like a mix of shock, joy, and a dozen other emotions I can't neatly package into words. She wrote about wanting her child to know their grandfather, to have me in their life in a meaningful way. It was a lot to take in, considering our strained past and the long stretch of silence that had defined our relationship until recently. The thought of being a granddad is exciting, but also scary, given how things have been between us. Then, there's the situation with my son, which is a whole different kind of heavy. I found out from a rather unexpected source, my brother, who's been somewhat of a mediator in the shadows, that my son has been battling drug addiction. He's currently in rehab, trying to put his life back together, and he's reaching out because he wants to mend fences. Finding out about his struggles and knowing he's in a place where he wants to heal brought up a lot of emotions, from relief to sorrow to guilt for not being there when maybe I could have helped. Navigating how to support him through this, even from a distance, has been challenging. I've started writing him letters. It's an old school approach, but it feels right. It gives me time to think about what I want to say without getting overwhelmed by the immediacy of a conversation. Amid all this, another layer of complexity got added to the mix. My ex-wife, the same woman who played a pivotal role in the estrangement from my children, is now seriously ill. She's reached out, wanting to talk, to explain things, maybe to apologize. I'm not sure. It's a lot to process. The woman who caused so much pain in my life is now facing her own profound struggles, and she wants to reconnect, maybe to find some peace for herself. So I'm caught between old anger and the natural human feeling of sympathy for someone who's unwell. It's a strange place to be. Part of me wants to have that confrontation, to tell her about all the pain she's caused, to make her understand the depth of it. But then there's another part that questions what good that would do. Would it change anything? Would it make me feel better? Or would it just reopen old wounds that have taken so long to heal? Deciding to meet my daughter was the first step in this new chapter. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe, a neutral place where we could talk openly. That meeting was intense. There were tears, raised voices at times, but also moments of genuine connection that I hadn't felt in years. We talked about the past, about her childhood, about the divorce, and how things went so wrong between us. It was clear that there were misunderstandings and hurt feelings on both sides. We also talked about her future, about her pregnancy, what she envisioned for her child. It's clear she wants to do things differently, wants to break the cycle of estrangement and pain that marked our family for so long. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, but also a chance for something new, something better. As for my son, the letter writing has been therapeutic for both of us, I think. He's shared some of his journey through recovery, the ups and downs, the setbacks and victories. It's given me insight into his struggles and a new perspective on what he's been through. It's also shown me how much I missed, how much I didn't see, and how maybe things could have been different if we'd managed to keep the lines of communication open. Now, regarding my ex-wife, I'm still undecided. I haven't responded to her yet. It's a decision I'm wrestling with daily. I find myself asking whether I'm ready to face her, whether I can handle whatever she has to say, whether it's worth the emotional toll it might take. In all of this, the support from Anna, my wife, has been my rock. She's been incredibly supportive, helping me navigate these complex emotions and decisions. We've spent many nights talking it through, weighing the pros and cons, trying to figure out the best path forward, not just for me, but for our family as a whole. The impact of all this on my mental health hasn't been small. There are days I feel overwhelmed, unsure if I'm making the right choices, if I'm handling things the best I can. But I'm trying to take it one day at a time, to process each piece of information, each emotion as it comes, and to make decisions that are thoughtful and considerate, not just reactive. Reflecting on all of this, it's clear that this journey of reconciliation and healing is going to be long and complicated. There are no easy answers, no quick fixes. It's going to require patience, understanding, and a lot of hard conversations. But I'm hopeful that out of all this pain and complexity, something good can emerge, something lasting. Thanks for sticking with me through this long update. Your words of encouragement and advice have meant the world to me. I'll keep you posted on how things progress, on the ups and downs, and on the lessons learned along the way. Here's to hoping for more ups than downs in the days to come. Update 3. Hey everyone. Your insights and encouragement have been a beacon during these tumultuous times, so thanks for that. So let's dive into what's been happening. After much internal debate and several sleepless nights, I decided to meet with my ex-wife. It was not a decision I took lightly, considering all the water under the bridge and the storms we've weathered, both separately and together. We met at a quiet cafe, a place neutral enough to not stir too many memories. Seeing her after all these years, visibly weakened by her illness, was a shock to the system. She spoke a lot, mostly apologies, expressing regrets about her past actions and the destructive path she led us down. She tried to explain her reasons, mostly rooted in her own insecurities and failures. I listened more than I talked. A part of me was processing the pain, while another part was oddly detached, trying to find some semblance of understanding in her words. It was an emotionally draining meeting, and I left feeling a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Forgiveness hasn't come fully yet, but I'm on the path to understanding, and maybe that's a start. On a brighter note, the relationship with my daughter has taken a positive turn. She's nearing her due date, and the anticipation of welcoming a new life has somehow brought us closer. We've spent weekends picking out baby stuff, setting up the nursery, and just talking, really talking, about our lives, hopes, and fears. It's been a healing process, repairing old wounds with new memories. This experience has given us a project to focus on together, and it's more than just preparing for a baby. It's about laying down the foundation for a new phase in our relationship. My son's journey has been equally heartening. His completion of the rehab program marked a significant milestone, and the man he's becoming fills me with pride. We've been meeting up regularly, taking it slow, allowing ourselves the space to explore this new dynamic. He's been joining family dinners, and seeing him interact with his siblings has been reassuring. There's an awkwardness, sure, but beneath that, there's a genuine effort on all sides to connect, which is more than I could have hoped for. Anna, my incredible wife, has been nothing short of amazing through all of this. Her support isn't just in the big gestures, but also in the quiet moments when I've needed it most. Her growing relationship with my children from my previous marriage is developing at its own pace. It's cautious, yet there's a mutual respect that I believe can blossom into something meaningful with time. She's been involved in every step, helping navigate the complexities of blending two families, always with a grace that amazes me. One of the unexpected joys has been the interest from my younger kids in getting to know their older half-siblings. They ask questions, show a keenness to connect, and have brought a lightness to family gatherings that might otherwise have been tense. These interactions, though still in their early stages, hold a promise of a blended family that not only coexists, but supports one another. Mentally, I'm in a much better place. Regular therapy has been transformative, providing me not just with coping mechanisms, but also with insights into my own behaviors and fears. Learning to forgive others has been challenging, but learning to forgive myself has been another journey altogether. Each session, each conversation helps peel back layers of guilt and regret, replacing them with something a little more like hope. Looking ahead, there's still a lot of road to travel. Relationships are complex beasts, and they require constant nurturing. The work isn't easy, and there are days when the old fears and doubts creep back in, whispering that it's all going to fall apart again. But then I look at how far we've come, how far I've come, and I find the strength to keep going, to keep trying, to keep building. The excitement of becoming a grandfather is something I'm looking forward to with a mix of joy and nerves. It represents a new chapter, not just for my daughter, but for me as well. It's a chance to experience the joys of young life again, through a lens of wisdom gained from many hard-learned lessons. It's also a reminder of the cycles of life, of how we get chances for redemption in ways we might not expect. In this update, I wanted to convey not just the changes and challenges, but also the quiet victories and the soft moments of realization that come unexpectedly. Whether it's a smile across the dinner table or a successful conversation that ends with a hug instead of a hurried goodbye, these are the moments that stitch the fabric of our newly reconstructed family tighter together. Thanks for walking this path with me, for your stories and advice, for your tough questions and kind words. I'll keep sharing as this journey unfolds, through the ups and downs, the setbacks and successes. Here's to more ups than downs, to more healing than hurt, and to finding peace in the chaos of change. Cheers to what comes next, and may it bring more light than shadows. Last update. First things first, I became a grandfather. My daughter gave birth to a beautiful baby girl a few weeks ago, and I was there in the hospital, holding her hand through it all. It was an incredibly emotional experience, seeing new life come into the world and knowing this little one is part of my family. Holding my granddaughter for the first time was a moment of pure joy, mixed with a deep sense of gratitude for the repaired bonds that made this moment possible. My daughter and I have come so far, and though it's been a bumpy road, it feels like we're finally on solid ground. My son is continuing to do well in his sobriety journey. We meet regularly and our relationship is stronger than ever. He's started a new job, and seeing him take these steps towards building a stable life for himself is incredibly rewarding. We talk about everything now. No topic is off limits, which has brought a new level of trust and openness between us. As for my ex-wife, our last conversation was probably our last. We reached a sort of peace, an understanding that while the past can't be changed, it doesn't have to dictate our futures. I've let go of a lot of the anger and bitterness that I held on to for so long, and it's been liberating. This doesn't mean I've forgotten, but rather, I've chosen to focus on the present and the future instead. Anna, as always, has been my cornerstone throughout all of this. Her unwavering support and love have made all the difference. She's embraced my children and granddaughter as her own, and her capacity for kindness and compassion seems boundless. We've grown closer through these experiences, navigating each challenge and celebrating every victory together. The younger kids are thrilled to have a new cousin, and they're already proving to be doting siblings. Integrating my family has had its challenges, but these moments of joy and unity remind me why it's been worth all the effort. In terms of personal growth, this journey has taught me more about myself than I ever expected. I've learned the true value of forgiveness, the strength required to rebuild trust, and the power of letting go of past hurts. Therapy has been a crucial part of this process, giving me the tools to deal with my emotions healthily and constructively. Looking back, if someone told me a few years ago that I would be where I am now, I would have been skeptical, to say the least. But life has a way of surprising us, of throwing us into the deep end and giving us the chance to swim. I've learned that it's not just about surviving the storm, but also about learning how to dance in the rain, to embrace each challenge and find the lessons it holds. As I close this chapter, I'm not just saying goodbye to the past, but also looking forward to the future with a hopeful heart. I plan to spend more time with my family, to cherish every moment with my granddaughter, and to continue building those bonds that we've worked so hard to strengthen. Thank you all for your support, your advice, and your kind words throughout this journey. Your comments have been a source of comfort and wisdom, helping guide me through some of the toughest times. While this is my last update, I'm excited about what's next, and I'm ready to embrace whatever comes with open arms. Here's to new beginnings, to family, to love, and to life. May we all find peace and happiness on our paths. Cheers to the road ahead, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of my journey.